Was, do a Muslim hate white people? And the answer was that a Muslim is taught to judge what's in the tent, not the tent. And that started me to investigate. And the brother and we started to read, and I read for many nights with him, all night long. We would sit up all night long and reading it was an introduction to the Holy Quran. I was telling Brother Kareem yesterday, and him and I seem to have read the same things. Years ago, when I came into Islam, the Quran had a prefix in it, and in that prefix was they ended up making it a book. It was a commentary of the Bible and a lot of things about Islam, a lot of answers things that I always wanted to know answers to. There were answers to things that I have had problems with in the Bible, and here were the answers, and they seemed so simple when I read them and understood them, and I accepted them. And all of a sudden, it just seemed something just came over me. I just had to be a Muslim. And I kept telling the brother, look, I wanted to be a Muslim. He kept telling me no. He says, I can lead you in the water, but you have to swim for yourself. So finally, he took me to Washington at the time, at the Fazl Mosque, and there was a brother there named Yasin. And they talked to me. This was, I guess, about 3 months after I had been introduced to this. I seem to believe that, in my mind, that I was already a Muslim. I just didn't know it. Because the way I was raised, the way my mother brought me up in the Christian church, and it wasn't many things that I found differently in Islam that I didn't have already. So it wasn't a hard thing for me to do. So I think that's how I got here.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah. Let me also ask, in addition to that, what kind of sacrifices have you made, or challenges maybe have you had in becoming and remaining an Ahmadi Muslim for all of these years?
The challenges were many. The beginning challenges were initially being a Christian at that time when I was about 21 or 22 years old. So I've been Christian all my life. I had to give up Christmas. And that wasn't easy. That was my first challenge. How do you give up Christmas? Because everybody expected a gift, and I'm telling them I'm a Muslim now. I'm not giving any gifts. That didn't go over too easy with most of the family. So that was my first challenge.
Actually, that was kind of a relief for me that I didn't have to buy gifts anymore. What's kept you in this Jamaat, in this community?
What kept me in the Jamaat is very simple. I accepted the promised Messiah, and be peace and blessing will be upon him, and accepting him and the things that he wrote. It was not hard for me to accept and not hard for me to believe. And I can believe them from the beginning. I believe them now. And nothing has been able to change that. There are the challenges I've had in the Jamaat. A lot of, first let me put it this way. My first 20 years, I remember it was on an Eid day. Dr. Mafu Ahmed was president of Al Jamaat at that particular time. And I stood up and I told him, I said, it's been 20 years I've been a Muslim now, but this is the first time I really believe that I actually have become a Muslim after these first 20 years. It took me 20 years to get here. And once you get something in your heart, and everything that I've tried to do to change it, to upset those things that I figured that I was believing in, and I tried to get them to turn them over in a way that to get a negative side. There were no negative sides. So, for me, that was easy, and I still feel that way.
You know, you talked about after 20 years where it became kind of solidified that you were a Muslim. Was there any, that is like a defining moment. Was there any event or anything that led up to that, or that, led you to that realization?
Yes. I've been married 3 times. My first 2 marriages, my first marriage, I became a Muslim as I accepted Islam. I prayed for that wife to become an Ahmadi, and it never happened. We ended in divorce. In my second marriage, the same thing happened. I prayed and I thought it was going to be, and it lasted 13 years. In my present marriage, after the 13 years, we were separated in a divorce, and I moved in an apartment, and I moved next door to this the lady who I'm married to right now. She was 24 years younger than me. And she said to me one day, there was a laundromat in the basement in the building. She said to me one day, says, I'm going to marry you. And I did the same thing you did. I laughed. I said, I'll find you a boyfriend. That's what I'll do. So when I did do that, I went to work one day, and this guy was asking me, I was telling him about this young lady that lived next door to me. And he said, well, give me her telephone number. I gave it to him. He called her, and the next day I saw him, he was blessing me out. He says, look, why you tell me to go to see somebody that don't want to see me? They want to see you. So to make this short, several days, some time passed, and she said to me, I had a dream, and I want to tell you about it. And I says, what was the dream? She says, I was walking across the street in the dream, and these Muslim women were standing on the corner, and they kept staring at me. And I laughed, and I thought it was just a ploy trying to get me in, because I had already told her that if I married again, it was going to be a Muslim, and she would be an Ahmadi Muslim. Well, she didn't know what an Ahmadi Muslim was. She didn't know what a Muslim was, really. So some time passed, and she told me again. She said, I had another dream, and I want to tell you about it. I said, you did? What did you dream about now? She says, I saw this old man praying in the field around the corner from the house, and he called me. And she said, it scared me so bad. She said, it woke me up in the dream, and I woke up. And she said, I couldn't go to sleep the rest of the night. And I laughed at that, because I said, here's another one, this girl is really trying hard. So she was during Ramadan, and we were going to the mosque on the weekends and for the reading of the Quran. And so she asked me one day, she says, can I go with you? So I thought about it, and I said, oh, yeah, come on, go with me. She got in the car, and I took her and I introduced